Did you know hidden around the jungles of Felucia in Battlefront 2 are dead Rancors? These creatures are native to this planet, but while the game uses the same model as the one from Jabba's palace, the actual jungle Rancors do look a little different, as seen in the Clone Wars TV show and the Force Unleashed game, which even had a horned variant. Plus, the command post with a cave is actually their lair, which is why near the area you can find 2 dead Rancors. In fact, Felucia has the most insane amount of wildlife in any of the maps in the game. There's even the biggest Sarlacc pit in the galaxy right next to this command post. Unlike the one in Tatooine, which is pretty small and can digest you if you fall inside, the Felucian one is dead, with fish swimming in the same pool of water, and you instantly die upon falling in. This is a reference to the one scene in The Force Unleashed that killed Shaak Ti, called the Ancient Abyss. And although the one in Battlefront doesn't have any tentacles, its mouth is still really big. But you're probably wondering, where are the accolades? These things became synonymous with Felucia ever since their appearance in the original Battlefront 2. This was by far the scariest thing in the game, with the mission starting off like this. But sadly, they never made an appearance in the reboot or even other media like The Force Unleashed, because Accolade aren't actually native to this planet. In fact, they're originally from Vendaxa, and were exported to Felucia, which were then found trying to stop the 501st ATTE unit. Although they won't officially appear on the planet anymore, the reboot did subtly reference them in a drawing found in the small huts on the map. Speaking of which, these huts are a reference to the peaceful Felucians from the Clone Wars TV show, which do make a secret appearance in the game. You just have to really zoom in to see them off in the distance. Inside their houses, you can find a lot of interesting details, mainly the drawings mentioned earlier, which are held up by travel magnets from Naboo or Urabesh letters. Some even have a hidden message, which, if you want to learn how to read, become a channel member and grab the digital flashcard deck we made, which also comes with a Star Wars themed sticker and gift pack. But these drawings also have an interesting secret. They depict other Felucian species like the Rancor, the Flying Manta, which can be seen circling the sky, as well as the Jungle Felucians, which are the other, more hostile sentient beings on the planet that first appeared in The Force Unleashed. But sadly, this is the only appearance they make in Battlefront 2, and although the village area has a lot of light-hearted details scattered around, like these football goals, a pair of teeth, and a bunch of blue milk in the fridge, these huts have a dark secret. Just listen. That's the sound of Felucians hiding in the basement, most likely from the insane battle happening just outside, which sadly interrupted their village feast. The CIS even tried raiding these villages to harvest these crops called Nycillan, which are visible around the map, and just like in the show, the villagers even use the same green fence to defend the crops, which does cause damage if the player touches it. But there's an even deeper secret in this map. The reboot has a crashed LAAT model on the battlefield, which is a homage to this iconic base in the original that so happens to be the only map in the game to have this model. Interestingly enough, the campaign mission also includes anti-air turrets as destroyable objectives, but they were removed in instant action, meaning they could have planned Felucia to include air vehicles at some point in development, as evident in other maps like Utapau, where the campaign mission cutscenes and objectives have LAATs flying around as air support, which makes the mission that much cooler. Hangar 10 even has these special anti-air turrets you have to destroy, which also don't appear in instant action. But there's even another cut vehicle from these maps. Felucia is the only planet other than Geonosis to have an ATTE in both the reboots and the original game, which even gets dropped in just like in the films. But this vehicle is only available in the story mode for the classic version, probably because the only straight part of the map is this river walkway it spawns on, making it really hard to move around. And as a side note, before repairing the downed ATTE in the campaign, for some reason it has a chrome color, then changes once it's powered up. I guess all destroyed vehicles on this map are cursed to never be playable, which is also the case for the reboot's Felucia, since there's a lot of destroyed Spiderwalkers everywhere and Hellfire droids that can be seen firing some rockets in the background battle. Interestingly, the carrier version of the LAATs are parked on this base, which is nice to see up close, and there's even a Republic Juggernaut that fires missiles in the background just like on Kashyyyk. But I was blown away when I found out this next hidden detail. Both the original's Felucia and Utapau maps had earlier versions that were quite different to the final release. Felucia's coloring was a more mustardy yellow and didn't have any water throughout the area, and while the map layout looked largely the same, you might have noticed this yellow command post. This only appears in the original Battlefront 1, representing neutral planetary factions like the Tusken Raiders on Tatooine. In this case, the CP's name was called Accolade Nest, meaning they were originally planned to be roaming creatures that could capture bases on instant action, but were restricted to only the campaign, not even getting a hunt mode, which honestly is a shame. Quick shout out to Phantom, all the early build footage is from his channel. But what's crazier is that Utapau's earlier version had 7 command posts instead of 5. In fact, this wall right next to Hangar 10 actually extended the highway to a whole new area with 3 more bases. Although some of these bases were unique, the last one was actually shifted to the other side, becoming the now droid starting spawn point in the retail version. This area was probably cut for making the map too large and empty. Some command posts used the energy pillars from the campaign mission objectives on Conquest, but this was also cut out. And for some reason, most of the AI was programmed to go to these higher walkways, which to my knowledge they can't use in the retail version. And finally, there was a hidden texture on Hangar 10's floor that was removed in the final release. Although Obi-Wan jumps down and says hello there in the films, doing this from the same place in Battlefront 2, they'll instead say ammo, health. Jokes aside, Utapau clearly has areas referencing Episode 3 that are a lot less easier to notice than on other maps. General Grievous even spawns in the hangar, leading to the most anticlimactic boss fight thanks to the giant sinkhole, which is easily the defining feature of the map. Interestingly, the Utai and Pauans live in these sinkholes because the planes above are often destroyed by hyperwind storms, which is why they use a lot of wind turbines to power the city as seen in game. And because there's barely any wood or trees on the plains above, the city's architecture is largely comprised of bones from giant whales and other deep-sea creatures native to the planet, like the Nos monster that lives at the bottom of the sinkhole and was in a deleted scene where Obi-Wan had to escape its lair. The movies also showcased a lot of other prehistoric reptilian creatures that sadly didn't make it in either. In fact, the original game actually has dinosaur sounds from Jurassic Park in Felucia. Just listen. Though, funny enough, none of the actual native creatures make it in this map, excluding these birds that are reused on other maps. These Felucian birds, which were first shown flying away just before the clones fired on Aayla Secura, can be seen all around the Reboots map and look really nice. But both games do include the fungal spores that release toxic gas and hurt the player, which has become a staple of the planet. Plus, hidden across the jungle of the Reboots map are these fungal snail things, which are also sometimes kept as pets by the Felucians, which is pretty cool. And although it's kinda hard to tell, these blue gooey things are actually the remains of Gelligrubs, those long slug creatures the clones were riding in Episode 3. Even when you stay idle, a bunch of flying bugs start to swarm around your character like on Kashyyyk. There's so much creatures on this planet. Utapau has some interesting climbing spots that can be really good for sniping, like this ledge in the crossroads of the highway. They even put a gonk droid there, which I didn't really know how to get to without a jetpack until this video. It's a little tricky, but just follow these steps I'm showing on screen. And shout out to Battlefront 2005, since I discovered a lot of these from his channel. The giant sinkhole also has quite a few barrier dead zones that you can fly into and stand on these white pillar things, including one outside the map's reach where the cut area from previous versions I showed earlier would have been, but looking in the walls shows nothing there. And although the original Felucia map doesn't have much areas to explore other than these massive vines, going to the back of the map near the clones' first spawn, you can find these strange lights that look like something out of Jurassic Park. Again, you can actually stand inside the Sarlacc pit without dying on this edge of the cliff, and looking in the water gives everything a yellow haze. It's so thick I can't see anything below with these settings. But as seen in Bombastic's video, you can see the Sarlacc more clearly with different presets. In fact, the Republic Bark Speeder and CIS Staps are the only vehicles that can hover on top of the Sarlacc water pool. For some reason, trying this with any other vehicle will cause them to sink right through. But either way, it's still really fun to willingly jump in, especially with a jetpack. For a map that was originally showed in only one scene, Felucia has become synonymous with the prequels, and I'm so glad it was faithfully recreated in Battlefront 2, since the original map could never capture just how unique this planet is compared to other jungles around the galaxy, especially on PS2 and Xbox, which was really hard to see anything thanks to this haze, which isn't as bad on PC. And although Utapau's map was one of the best in the game, seeing it appear in the Skywalker Saga makes me wonder what an updated version could have looked like in EA's Battlefront 2. In fact, the most visually stunning city map in the franchise, Bespin Cloud City, also never made it into the reboot sequel for the bigger game mode, which is a shame since this planet has just as much hidden secrets. Find out more in this video here.